Hey, not wiping my nose at all. All right. So first thing I want to talk about is American Nature. This is from this actually is from Floating World, and the guys Greg and Faker, the guys who are behind the Santos sisters, are in on making this too. This might be their production. Maybe it's a Floating World collaboration. I think it is. And I picked this up a couple of weeks ago, and it has like really cool articles in it, and it's made from newsprint. I love the smell. It has like strips that you might not see. Like there's a strip by Pat Rooks, cartoonist, in there. A strip that you won't find anywhere else. There's actually a pinup. Y'all know who Dave Sim is. Dave Sim of Cerberus fame, who almost doesn't. What he does only stuff like on his own. You know, he's kind of doing some weird shit out there, but he doesn't do a lot of stuff for other people that I know of. And he did a Santos Sisters pinup, which is pretty outstanding there to get this guy to do something for you.
Nice.
Yeah. And then there's like what's this Nick Piles vid screen. There's another strip you won't see anywhere else. And there's some tips in here for like people like myself who make comics, like us indie comic makers. You want to make comics? Here's some tips on productivity. And Lord knows I can use all the tips I can use. And there's some in there that are actually, I'm going to try to implement and get more regimented and doing. I actually started drawing. I know that's nothing to see, but I have been drawing lately. You couldn't tell by looking at me, but I've been drawing and getting back into the swing and exercising the muscles again. And that's probably the first step among it. The biggest step, I should say, to getting back into it. And you are still my hostage. Stay in the box. This is by a guy named Nate McDonough, who talks about stuff in his collection that he pulls out and stuff that you may not have heard of, stuff that you may, like one of it is like the Heroes Inc. thing from, you remember, God, what's my man's name? The name just slips my mind. The hell is that guy's name? Oh, Wally Wood. Wally freaking Wood. God, he's a bleeding legend. Wally Wood did the Heroes thing, among other things. He did I think the first issue of Daredevil, but he was having all kinds of issues. He was late, and he was suffering from depression. You can read about his story and all that, but that Heroes canon, Heroes Inc. featuring canon, is a book that's like 55 years old, but it's still not worth only a couple of bucks because there's so many that were printed. And they were distributed on bases, military bases, and stuff like that. But man, it's just a little hard to find books and things like that. Then there's this interview with one of my favorite people, the woman that did this book. My favorite things are monsters, and Emil Ferris. I met her at Danger Room. This is her work right here, that really detailed cross hatching and all that. Sweetest woman in the world. I mean, we had a line out the door, and she took all the time in the world to talk to everyone individually. Really cool person. My favorite thing is Monsters is something you should check out if you like stuff like that. So yeah, right on the Greg and Fake and Floating World Comics for putting this book out, worth the $6 in every cent in every way that you pay for it, man. Love it.
That's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, man, it's quite a publication. It's kind of like a fanzine, but more. All right, the one thing I was so happy about, well, not the one thing, the thing I was happiest about last week that I got from my comic shop was 4 kids walking to a bank. 4 kids walking to a bank. This is from Black Mask. Years ago, it's been optioned. It's really hard to find. I don't know if there's any second printings, or if you can find the trade, it's good luck, because the trade is almost as hard to find as the floppy issues. Yeah, it's kind of like this is the our guys Boss Mar, excuse me, and Rosenberg. Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg. If you know them from what's that our favorite book, which is What's the First Place from Here, right? They're and this is kind of like I don't know, I'm gonna say the trial run for that, but it's got that same crazy pacing of the dialogue and everything. So it's got a lot of good stuff in there as far as that goes. And these are just 4 kids who are hanging around. They are good friends. They always meet up over at this girl who's kind of like the leader. Her name is Paige, and they play like role playing games. They play like tabletop games, and the story begins where they're playing different characters. You think it's going to be like an adventure comic, but as it breaks down, they're actually this is their imagination that's going. And there's a guy, one of the guys. His name is what the hell is his name? Uh, Walter? No, Walter is the really shy guy. There's this other guy, I forget his name, but doesn't matter. He's always like this friend who's always saying some dumb shit. Like, shut up, man. But they all love him, and they can't do without him. Burger, his name is Burger. And even his family calls him Burger. Burger's his last name, so it's kind of weird. And so they're over there playing games one day, and someone knocks on the door, and it's like these 4 thugs, right? And they want to see Paige's dad, and they're like, well, "Who the hell are you?" And they kind of like start threatening the kids, and Paige's dad comes out with a shotgun and gets them out of the house. But okay, they just let that go. But it turns out these guys are following them around town. They encounter them again and again, and they started to think that there's something going on that the dad's not telling them about, because dad's like, I don't know anything about these people. And it turns out there is a connection between those people. Dad knows more than he's letting on. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to give away too much because I got issues number 2, 3, 4, and 5 coming. I just found them on my comic shop for like almost cover price or less. The only number 1 is worth a lot of money, apparently. So I can't wait to see how the rest of this comes out and compare it to what's the furthest place from here. But this, man, we love that so much, and this is probably like maybe like the the test ground for that series.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, and that's from what did I say, Black Mask. So that's a probably low print run on that book too. Check that out. What's the first place? What's the first place from here is what we should really be checking out. But 4 kids walk into a bank. Look for that. If you can find this, buy it. If you can find the trade, even better, because you can read all 5 of the issues at once. I couldn't even find the trade, but love the story. Next one up is
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Also, wasn't me. I didn't do it. Next one is from who's this? From AWA. This is Cam Girl. This is from the same person that gave us Red Light, which was also about a sex worker. And this is written by Sarah Cho and illustrated by C.P. Smith. Sarah Cho, I'll talk more about that in the back matter of what she talks about. This book is really closer to her heart than I kind of figured that she's got something going on with this, and this is really a subject that really means a lot to her. This woman, her stage name is, she has a obviously she does internet cams, and she has a stage name, and first it's Kyoko. Kyoko is her stage name, and her real name is Danny. So she lives the fantasy that these guys all like these men who just keep feeding her money, who just want to like, okay, do this with the sex toy, and take this off and do that. She does that all day long, and she actually used to be in the business world, but she suffered what she called an event. An event happened with her, and she basically became a pariah in the field that she was in. And she saw this article about this girl who was like making like $10,000 a month doing webcam. Like, I can do that shit. I can I can. I have a naked body I love to show off, and I need money.
Me too.
Nobody gonna pay to see you, man. You never know. You never know. I mean, depending on what you're willing to do. All right. But I tell you though, I mean, you can't get mad at people for taking that money because it's out there, and this is much more safe than being out in the street sex worker. So this is a different kind of a setup. And she met a boyfriend who, in her words, says he has a bit of yellow fever, but he's a good guy overall. She thinks, so life is looking up a little bit, and she decides one day that what, I'm doing so well on this webcam thing. I'm going to have a meet and greet, which sounds like a horrible idea for this kind of industry. Like not like it's a Comic-Con kind of a thing. Like you've been naked in front of all these people, and some of them actually think that they know you. This is the problem. Then you get all kinds of weirdos who would do that. Not to say that everyone that looks at webcam is a weirdo, but let's face it, they're out there. If they weren't out there, we would have to be cautious about it. Marcus webcam. Hey, I ain't mad at him.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Yes. So the meet and greet does not go super well. And from that comes she starts getting texts on her personal phone to someone who should not have her personal phone number, and identifying themselves as the knight in shining armor. Like, oh, the hell is this? And this knight in shining armor, all of a sudden, it's like he knows everything about her. He's following her or something. Like, she's being watched. Well, that's makes that whole meet and greet thing look kind of like the train wreck that it turned out to be. So there's a whole thing about that, and it's a one shot, which is so. I love this. It's a one shot. You can just read it and be done with it. So I don't want to give away too much of it, but it's all resolved in the end. And what I wanted to say before was that Sarah Cho, she herself, this is her herself. It's in the back matter. She talks about how she had a similar experience to Danny, and she had an event in her life where she basically is a psychotic break, and she had a corporate job, and she got blacklisted from the corporate job, and she's had to she's lucky enough to do other things other than having to do the cam girl thing like the character in the book. But she lets a lot of insight go about how these characters, like in the sex worker book and in the cam girl book, people who are looked down upon in this society, and even just persecuted to some degree. And it's pretty interesting the way she talks about it. So it makes it a lot more personal that she writes about stuff like this, and she's open about it, because a lot of people would be ashamed of it, not just the being a cam girl or something like that, but just the mental illness part, because that some people that's been like something to be ashamed of. That's like being ashamed if you have emphysema. Like, how dare you be sick? But it's just the way this society sometimes looks down on mental illness and stuff like that. So good for her. This is an AWA book. Should be still in the shops. If you like this kind of stuff, if you liked Red Light, which was about the AI sex worker in the future, which was very clever, there was also a good book. Pick up that and pick up Cam Girl.
Interesting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All I wonder if I could make a life that way. Look into it.
Now you got the wheels. The wheels are turning now. Like,
I mean, if people can make money off their feet, why not me?
Why not? Why not you, brother? Exactly. All right. This is one that was a penultimate book a couple weeks ago from our guy James T. Let this one be a devil. There's no one ever. But you see what that line comes in later on in the book, and it explains, and it makes sense why she said it. This one's written by James T. Illustrated by, who's this? All these James T. books now, like the Deviant, they're printed on this like glossy paper. They're just like fingerprint material. Good luck getting one of these without a fingerprint. It's so super glossy, I can't even touch it. It's not gonna be worth $1 million or anything.
Got to put on the gloves. What up, D'Artagnan?
Hey, D'Artagnan, what's happening, buddy? Hey. Yeah. James T. writes it, and also Steve Fox scripted it along with James T. And the artist from Peter Kowalski, colors by Brad Simpson, letters by Tom Napolitano. Napolitano, excuse me. This takes place in Jersey, somewhere in the swamps of Jersey, in the 1900s, early 1900s. This guy, he left his farm. Back then it was all farmland, you can imagine, early 1910 or such, I think it was. And he had left his home to go to the city. He educated himself, and he came back home to help his family, his mother and his brother. And there's a bit of resentment in the family for some reason, because yeah, it was good art too. They resented him, I guess. I know maybe they were jealous of him a little bit, I guess, because he left, and because he's all this highfalutin, educated city boy now, and he's no good at the farm, and you can't lift a bale of hay and shit like that. It's like, okay, I'll do it. And so one night he's out. There's like a ruckus around the chicken coop, and he goes out there to inspect and see what's going on, and he takes the shotgun or the rifle, whatever it is, and he stumbles on this creature that's just ravaging all the chickens, just destroying the chickens. And they're like, what the hell? And the thing flies off, and he thinks he's seeing things. He can't believe it. His educated mind can grasp the fact that there was a flying devil that just ate up all the damn chickens. So they gotta start from scratch with the chickens. He goes into town the next day, and there's people in town who also have experienced this thing, and he buys a newspaper, and we start flashing back to the 1700s, where the legend, they believe, of the whole Jersey Devil began. And it was from this Leeds woman. Her last name was Leeds. She was the husband of this man, Mr. Leeds, who Mr. and Mrs. Leeds had like 12 children. That's back when people just keep them coming, baby. Keep them coming. There's more workers in the field. I don't care if your uterus falls out. 12 kids, keep them coming. Yeah, the more the merrier. So Miss Leeds is like going through, as she was going through her birth of her 13th child, Miss Leeds is like, damn, this thing won't come out. Oh my God. She's just like, just no, anesthesia and shit back then. And she's already cranked out 12 of them without anesthesia. So you think this one just like pop out, but nope, this one's giving them trouble. And she's like, let this one be a devil. Like, uh-oh. So what happens there. And you can imagine what happens after that. So that's just the setup for the first issue. Then there's like another little short tale in the back. They like to do on these true weird stories. They have like a backstory, a backup story, I should say, as well, called Shattered and Shook. That's one of those little one-shot things. It was okay. It was more about oh God, what is it? Just about your average haunting or possession of a house. It was not anything super deep, but just like a little anecdotal story. But overall, this was a good start. I love this true weird stuff. The shiny covers, making it impossible to get a 9.8. That's okay. But that's what if you're looking for. Just a good story. Let this one be a devil from Dark Horse. Off to a good start. Check it out.
Long live James Tynan IV.
Amen. Amen, brother. All right. Oh, you had a whole bunch. Only 2 more, though, so not a whole lot. This one is, we talked about it before. Howl number 2. This is from Ahoy Comics. Howl number 1 was great. It's from Alyssa Whitney is the writer, and Morissette does beautiful artwork in here. Beautiful artwork. And this is, I didn't realize it was kind of a, not autobiographical, but kind of from her past experience. In fact, the lead character in here is named after Elisa's mother. Her name is Zola. Zena. Zena is the name of the woman whose fiance is the writer, and she's experiencing, along with the other women who know these men. These men are acting all weird and shit, and they're meeting up at a certain time early in the morning. One of them, who never gets up early, is all of a sudden like an early riser, and they're all getting together and going somewhere in the morning. And Zeta decides to follow them along with another lady whose husband is involved, and they kind of figure that they're all going to this psychiatrist, or this, I think she's a therapist, masquerading as a therapist, and this therapist is also an alien. This therapist is just like, programming these men to be to do certain things, and to just act a certain way. And basically, there's kind of like a pod people kind of a thing going on with these men. They're acting weird and being kind of taken over by these aliens. And it's a really great mixture of what happened in the 50s, back when women had to be, like seen and not heard, and just pretty much live those subservient lifestyles, and mix it in with that sci-fi of the whole alien takeover thing, just for shits and giggles. And Lisa talks about in the back how her mother had a relationship with the guy, just like the character in the book, who was a writer. In fact, she includes a Polaroid photo of them, from 1959, I want to say. And Morissette has just so beautifully recreated. This looks just like her mother. This character. I mean, she looks so much just like her. I mean, it's just it's amazing how she made it look like the mother, and just worked it into the story. I think that's pretty. If you like good indie stuff, there's no bang zoom fighting action going on, but just kind of a very cool story. It's kind of weird and with great artwork. Like, it was like her friend cuts her fingers off, and she's like, "Oh, look at that! I just cut my fingers off," and she's realized that her friend is like one of the aliens now, or some shit. It's really it's really a fun book to read, and it's great art. So, man, I'm all in for this. However many issues it goes, I think it's a short series, but yeah, Howl from Ahoy Comics is absolutely still doing it. Yeah, yeah, Damien's liking it too. I think they refer to it in I think maybe just an homage to the Ginsberg poem. You probably know better than I did, called Howl. I think it was it's from that era, because all these writers are kind of like aspiring to be like Ginsberg, and the guy that wrote On the Road, and whose name escapes me right now. So I think that's what it's about. Is about that, but it's really a fun book, man.
Hey, look at that! You've got a convert in the chat doing the Lord's work, Lorenzo. You have officially inspired me to buy single issues. Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club, man. I've done my job. Action is my reward, as they say. All right. Yes, the famous beat poem. Yes. Beat. That beat era it sounds so cool in retrospect. They're like, oh, yeah, beat generation was so cool, man. But it just, it just died out, and it became the 60s, and then everybody went to the establishment and went to war, and they got wiped out, and it came Reagan. Anyway, long story. It came Kent State. All right, last book is one that I love a lot. I didn't know how much I loved it until this issue here, The Seasons #2. Another giant generator book from Rick Remender. He is the scriptor on this. Yep, he's a full writer, and the artist is Paul Acita. I want to say Matthew Lopes is a colorist, and Russ Wooten is the letterer. All right, and we left off in issue #1, if you don't remember. Spring Seasons is this little, she's a little girl who's like the mail delivery person in this little small town. I think this takes place in this little pocket, I don't know, pocket universe or pocket timeline, which seems like it could be like in the 40s, 1940s, maybe somewhere around there, because there are some things that are modern. There are some things that are like, like newspapers and things like that are still a big deal back then. They're not now. Uh, but I think it is in our reality, but it's kind of like in a the 1940s, maybe. I want to say, I'm just going to go with that, because she's delivering mail, with a little scooter and stuff like that. So Spring is giving up on trying to get her sister. Well, I start at the beginning. Spring was sent a message from her other sister, Autumn, who's an adventurer. And Autumn told her, Spring, and her other sister, Winter, to get the hell out of town because there's this crazy carnival coming to town and some stuff's going to happen. That's all I can tell you right now, but get out of town. Um, yeah, yeah, Damien agrees too. The first one was kind of a setup. You have to kind of like be there for like, okay, what's happening here? It was almost like I said, like a Mary Poppins thing, the way she was chasing that letter all over town. That was the whole issue. I guess that was just it would actually just flow better in a trade. But that's the way issue number one sometimes are. So I'm glad we stuck with it though. It was really good. So Winter is an artist. Winter is like this brooding artist. She's just like goth before there was goth. And Spring is trying to tell her, like, I got a letter from Autumn and you should get out of here because there's this crazy carnival coming and we need to be gone. And Winter is having none of it. So it's like, oh well, what are we gonna do? Her other sister, Summer. Summer is a famous movie star, and she is just like so full of herself, and she is just this prima donna, and she's on location somewhere. It makes me think it's like an older thing because it's like the press is there, and they all dress like the old press people were with the flash bulbs and shit like that. And there's an operative. Oh, I want to give too much away, but Summer decides that what, someone tells her that you need to get back to your hometown now because a big festival is coming there, and there's going to be like there's going to be a carnival. Oh, a carnival without me? I got to be there. Then of course, being the narcissist that she is, she takes off heading back home, where Autumn did not want any of them to be. Like, he's to get the hell out of town, not come back to town. So now Autumn, in the meantime, is having her own difficulties. It's like she's trapped in some kind of strange reality. I don't know how she got a letter to Spring, but she somehow got a letter to Spring, but she's having all kind of difficulties getting home. I guess we'll hear more about that in subsequent issues. But anyway, Summer is coming back home. Winter's not going to leave, and Spring is just a delightful character. I love Spring. Spring she holds the whole thing together. Um, but like you were saying about the kids in Stranger Things, they better not do anything to Spring. Spring is I love Spring, man. She's so cute. But she's the only thing that's holding this weird family together. Autumn is cool too, but she's like incognito. She's just away. She probably got away from her other two sisters. But man, Spring is just the rock of the family. And the crazy carnival was not featured in this issue, but you can tell there's gonna be some crazy shit happening with the carnival, and it's not going to be good things. They leave, and they show in the first issue how the carnival leaves the towns just in waste, and it's a really cool way they express this a simple harmless thing like a carnival can just like destroy a town. So yeah, the seasons is all that. I think this is another winner from the Rick Remender giant generator brand, but should we be surprised? I don't think so. Yeah, so pick it up, check it out, and man, you are welcome, sir. And that is what is good for this week. Thank you very much. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.